Boker Or, Masechet Bava Kamma Daf Samechta Amud Aleph, 69a1. We were just speaking about right now when there was like a type of a pasek, if you remember. What does that mean? We asked, if he comes and he says, Setenlo, go out and give it to him, what does it mean now? Sheikdish. You're not going to obligate him. Rava comes and he says, if the Dayanim come and they tell the Ganav, Setenlo, right, go give it to him. And then afterwards, the guy comes and he's tavach v'machar, which means he slaughters it and sells it. He's going to be patur. What's the reasoning? Because since it was like a pasek in the middle, and then afterwards it was a tavach v'machar, so now he becomes a gazlan. Remember, the court already came and said, pay him back. So if the court comes now and tells him pay him back, now he becomes a gazlan, not a ganav anymore. Because ganav was behind the guy's back. Gazlan is in front of the person's face. Now it's in front of, the court already told him give it to him. So now they become a gazlan. A gazlan does not pay tashlumei chamisha. So the Gemara says, you're obligated to give it to him. And then he says, he does pay arba v'chamisha. Why? Given the lo paske leminta, but since it wasn't like a psak muchlat, so he's still considered a ganav. And that's why he still has to pay arba v'chamisha. So the Gemara answered, he said, no, you're obligated to give it to him. And therefore, that's what we were talking about when the Dayanim said it. In such a case, if you're going to be obligated to pay the arba v'chamisha. That's where we finished yesterday. Okay? We're on Gufa, which is the 2 dots. Okay, so it's 4 lines down. Okay, nekudotaim, arba shurot lamata. Okay, Gufa. Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Says Rabbi Yochanan, Gazal velo nitiashu abaalim. If right now a person stole a chefetz and the baalim were not nitiashu, shnehem, right? Both of them, whether it's a baalim or gazlan, right? They cannot make hekdesh. Why? This one doesn't belong to him because the thief, he stole it, but it's still not his. And the baalim it's not in his reshut. So that's what we learned yesterday. You remember? Mm-hmm. Okay. Says the Gemara. Rabbi Yochanan Hafi. Does Rabbi Yochanan actually say this? Rabbi Yochanan says halacha is like a stam mishnah. And Utnana, we learned in a stam mishnah. Kerem revai ayu metzaynin oto bekzuzot. It says here, do you know, Kerem Revai, they used to come and they were mitzayenotam, which means they used to actually put like simanim on them with pieces of earth, right, to show everybody that it's Kerem Revai, and you're not allowed to eat it without a pidyon. So, therefore, that's what they were trying to do. They would actually make simanim in order to show that they weren't going to eat it without a pidyon. Simana, the siman that they used to show was ki adama, like adama. Just like adama, just like the earth, ikana mine yuhavana. Afananami. So to here also the same thing. When you're going to redeem it, it's going to be permitted to benefit from it. Okay. Now, what about orla? Orla, they used to be mitzayenotam becharsit with ra'afim. It's like they say it in English. It's like pieces of pottery. It's pottery basically. It's like clay. Yeah, that's orla. Meaning you see over here that all the different things which are prohibited to eat, they had to make simanim in order to show everybody don't eat from it. Why? Because imagine, I would just go, and also I could just eat it. You have to be careful. Simana ke charsit, ma charsit, just like charsit, enanaminen, we know, which means that you don't have benefit from it because it doesn't grow properly. So you're not allowed to have benefit from it. So therefore, that was the difference between adama, that you could benefit from adama, and charsit, that you cannot benefit from it. Shel kvarot, of tombstones, he used to put lime, the seed. Seed is lime. He says, simana de chivar katzamot, because lime is white, just like the bones. Meaning, just like bones are white, so too the lime is white. Right? Umamche. Now, they used to smear it on. I don't know how you exactly translate that, but they would smear on the lime. Right? They used to like mix it, dissolve it. That's the word. They used to dissolve it with water, the shofech, and then they used to pour it around the kever. So that means they used to come and put it, and then they used to put it around the kever. Okay? In order that it should become even more white. Okay? So that's why they used to come and they used to dissolve it in more water. Amar Rabban Shimon Gamliel, says Rabban Shimon Gamliel, one of these words, right? B'shvi'it. Only when we're talking about the concept of shvi'it. Yeah? The hefker minu. Because at the end of the day, it's hefker. Aval b'shar shavua, but during the rest of the year, which permit you're not allowed to take them because obviously there's a shoot of other people. So haliteu larashav yamot. What does that mean? We spoke about this concept a few weeks ago, if you remember, that basically that if a Rasha wants to do something, just pour it in his mouth and let him die. Don't do anything. Meaning, on Shavi'it, that it's going to be Hefker, so therefore anybody that's going to come and going to take it's Beheter, they're allowed to take it. So you have to make these simanim in order to make sure that if he's already taking something, make sure he doesn't take Orla, or make sure he doesn't take a Ravai, or make sure he doesn't take certain things. You understand? But during the rest of the year, it's my field. What are you coming to my field and taking from my field? So therefore, what? I have to make a siman that just in case you steal from me. So if you're already going to steal from me, or la, don't eat it. Or if you're going to steal from me, kerem revai, make sure that you do a pidyon, you redeem it. Let him take whatever he wants. And if he's going to eat or la, it's his problem. Let him die. What does that have to do with me? He's a rasha. Haliteu l'rasha, pour it down his throat and let him die.
But it's putting stumble rock.
That's not a stumbling block. A stumbling block is, for example, you're in a public domain and I'm going to put a stumbling block in front of you. If you come and you steal from my property, right, and I have a shotgun there and it shoots you, it's not a stumbling block. What are you coming to my private property and doing certain things? So now, okay, you have secular law, you have this, you have that. But right now, if you have a ganav that you know that he's coming every single day and he's stealing your thing, there's a stumbling block. What a stumbling block? He's not allowed to come and put poison in it. Let him taste what it is. You remember we brought down that, and you're allowed to. Mitzad halacha, you're allowed to. And he does what that's his problem. It's not your problem. That's not a stumbling block. Stumbling block is a kavanah that you ask me for advice. And I come and I put a stumbling block in front of you. Or in the middle of the street that everyone's allowed to go. And that's called a stumbling block. But on my own private properties, I have to make sure that
There was once the police.
So the concept of aliteu l'rasha v'yamut means is that if the rasha wants to do something wrong, let him eat it, let him die. What do I care? What do I have to start doing simanim to help the rasha? Rasha wants to do something, let it. Fine. Says the Gemara that snuim manichin et ha'ma'ot ve'omrim kol hanilkat, right? Mizeh mechulal ha'ma'ot halalu. He says like this: anybody that's going to be nilkat is going to be mechulal on the other money. Okay, fine. So says the Gemara, v'chiti. Now, if you're going to tell me now, man tana, who's the tana? Atznuim. The tznuim is the tana. What does that mean? Rabban Shimon Gamliel, right? He says Rabban Shimon Gamliel. Right, you skip out these brackets until where does it go to? Right, so he says, anytime that you have Rashbag in the Mishnah, the halacha zaken, except for three cases: Arev, Tzaidan, Riyah Charona. Right? Riyah Charona. So here it says Arev is the kavanah to do with the malve that comes to collect is chov of an Arev Kablan. Remember, an Arev Kablan is a guarantor, but you can go directly to him without going to the guy at all. That's called an Arev Kablan. Okay? The Tzaidan, the kavanah is machloket to do with a get that was given in the city of Sidon. Okay? And the Riyah Charona is the Mishnah in Sanhedrin to do with the machloket Chachamim and Rashbag, to do with the Rayah that a Baldin brought to his own favor after the din was nifsak kenegdo. Rabbi Yochanan paskin halacha like Rashbag only to do the first machloket and not the last machloket. So Amri, so they said, lo teima, don't say kol anilkat mizeh, anything which is going to be, which is basically lashon avar in the past, ela ema kol mitlaket mizeh, anything which is going to be taken from there in the future. So it comes out that the tznuim were mechalim the perot even in the future, right? When it was still in their possession. And therefore, there's no stiran or mishnah to do with that a person cannot be magdish tavar shem bishuto, because that's what they used to do. They used to do that. So says the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan Hachi, does Rabbi Yochanan actually say this? Rabbi Yochanan says that Snuim, but Rabbi Dasa Amru Davar Echad, that Snuim and Rabbi Dasa both said one thing. Rabbi Dasa said Nilkat Kamar, which means in the past tense, right? The Tanya was said in a Braita. Rabbi Yudah says Shachrit Balabait Omer Kol Sheilaktu Aniyim Ayom Yefker. Anything which the Aniyim are going to take is going to be Yefker. Rabbi Dasa says Litote Erev, which means at the end of the day, he says, meaning there was a machloket. When does the balabait make it efker, that which the aniyim take? In the morning before they take it, or in the nighttime already after they took it? Because basically aniyim are going to come, they're going to pluck something off. That you're really going to hold an ani responsible. You say, listen, he's an ani, what do you want from him? So therefore, yeah. So the question is, do you make it hefker beforehand, in the beginning of the day, or at the end of the day, and you say everything that they already took is going to become hefker? So says the Gemara, Epuch the Rabbi Yehuda, the Rabbi Dosa, the Rabbi Yehuda. You have to switch the shita of Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Dosa, and Rabbi Dosa and Rabbi Yehuda. So according to this, Rabbi Dosa holds that the Bala Sadeh is mafkid the shiborim in the morning when it's still in his possession, and that's what the Tznuim did, right? That they used to be mechalel the perot revai, right, when it was still in their possessions, even before plucking it off. So says the Gemara, Amaya pacht, right, matznita, ibchal Rabbi Yochanan. Why are you changing the girsa and the braita? Change the shita of Rabbi Yochanan. The Eiman say, Tznuim and Rabbi Yehuda said the same halacha. Not Rabbi Dosa, Tznuim and Rabbi Yehuda said the same halacha. So Amri, they said, Lo sagedol mitach matnita, the beha matnita, ktani dit le Rabbi Yehuda bereira. He says, you can't switch the braita with it. Why? He comes and he says it is because in this braita, we actually said that Rabbi Yehuda holds a breira. V'shamin Rabbi Yehuda be'alma delet. Now we know that he does not hold a breira. Titzram, as we learned in the Mishnah, right? Everyone knows what breira is. Breira is that after the fact, you say that retroactively, it was mevurar. It was like clear that it was this. That's the concept of breira. So look in Masechet 69b. Halokech yaim ben akutim. Imagine right now you come and you're going to take wine, purchase wine from the kutim. Okay, it's right before Shabbat. Now you don't have time to take off Trumot Masrot. Omer, you're going to say, Shne lugim shani atil yefrish, 2 lugin that I'm going to take off later on of the 100 lugin, haren truma, is truma. Okay, so you're taking 2 from 100, right? Because that is the concept of truma, right? Which is basically 20% instead of 10%. Okay, that's a ayin benonit. Okay, now he says, Asara, 10 lugin that I'm going to take off. Maaser Rishon, remember, Maaser Rishon is 10%. Tish'a, 9 of them, is Maaser Sheni. Okay, because now that you took off 10, now there's only 90 left. So if there's only 90 left, and again, you're going to take off 10%, it's only 9. Yeah? Umechel. Asur lafrish trumot masrot b'Shabbat. Metaken. Okay? Now he says, Umechel. It's a metaken. Ata metaken. Umechel, right? And you're going to be mechalel maaser sheni on the money that you have in your house. V'shoteh miyad. Yeah? And you're going to drink it immediately. Divrei Rabbi Meir. These are the words of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon Osrim. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon, they say that it's asur. So it comes out that their reasoning is because they say that the afrasha is going to do only afterwards. So therefore, it was like a retroactively. So you see from here, they don't say breira, which means like this. Right now, you're going to start drinking. But when do you separate? You separate later on. So now, you're going to say, that which I'm separating later on, it's going to tell me that retroactively, that which I drank was no problem. We don't hold breira. That's what the review does say. So if we don't hold the breira, so then you cannot come and tell me that we wanted to switch the breita. Okay? Amri, so we said, sof sof, amaika pachta lematnitin. Why are you coming and you're changing the breita? He says, mishum dekasha Rabbi, because you had a stira on Rabbi Yehuda. Hashtanani, so to here, now you have a stira between Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yochanan. The Amarta, as you said, according to Rabbi Yochanan, lo teima, don't say kolanilkat, which is basically anything which is going to be taken in the past tense. Elaima kolamitlake, but it's in the future tense. Alma itle breira. It comes out that he does hold the breira. V'har Rabbi Yochanan lele, but Rabbi Yochanan also does not hold the breira. Te'amar Ravasi, Rabbi Yochanan says Ravasi name Rabbi Yochanan. Ha'achin shechalku, when you have brothers that they divided inheritance, they're considered lekuchot. Lekuchot, purchasers, as if that they bought it, not that they inherited it, but rather that they bought it. And therefore, machzirim zelazeh biyovel. So when it comes to yovel, they have to return it to each other. Meaning, if they're Yerusha, they don't have to give it back to each other because now it becomes 100% theirs. If they're a continuation of their father. But if you tell me that they bought it, so now when it comes to yovel, everyone has to put it back into a common pot. And then they have to divide it again. So it comes out that they are lekuchot. Now, what's happening? That means that according to Rabbi Yochanan, you don't hold the breita. So now, one second, you didn't want to switch the breita to make a stira between Rabbi Yehuda that he doesn't hold the breita and he does hold the breita. But you did the same thing now to Rabbi Yochanan. You're right, you didn't do it to Rabbi Yehuda, but you did it to Rabbi Yochanan. So answers the Gemara, Ella leolam, or rather, right, Kol nilkat. When we're talking about now anything which is going to be taken, Rabbi Yochanan, stama, right, really be'emet, it's Kol nilkat, like we said at the beginning. Rabbi Yochanan stama achdin hashkach, and Rabbi Yochanan found another stama. Tetzanam, as we learned in the Mishnah, En hagonev achal haganav mishalem tashlumei kefel. A ganav cannot steal after another ganav, meaning if one ganav steals after another ganav, he does not pay kefel. Ask the Gemara, amai, why? Bishlam ganav rishon lemishalem. I understand to the ganav rishon he's not going to pay because it says ve'buram mi bet haish. Zerat hakatuv. The pasuk says it was stolen from the house of the man. So therefore, if it was stolen from the house of the man, that's when you pay kefel. If it's stolen from the house of the man, but if you steal it from a ganav, that wasn't from the house of the man, so you're not going to pay kefel. But rather, it means you have to pay to the baalim. But rather, it comes out, we learn from here that the reason why you don't have to pay kefel is the ganav, it's not his. You're not going to pay kefel to him. And the owners, it's not a zirashut. So it comes out that it's like a gzirat hakatuv. So when Mordechai comes and he asks, but why shouldn't he pay a little bit extra? Gzirat hakatuv. I cannot make up a knas. If the rabbis wanted to make up a knas, they could give him makot, they could give him whatever they want. But it's not from the Torah. The Torah says, in order to pay kefel, vegunav mi bet ish. If it's stolen from the house of the man, meaning from his property, you pay kefel.
So he stole from him, but in the Reshut HaRabim, he doesn't pay kefel.
If what?
He stole from the owner, but in the Reshut HaRabim, he doesn't have to pay kefel.
No. If the guy just left it in Reshut HaRabim, no. But if you leave it in your car, Reshut HaRabim, yes, because your car is the Reshut HaYachid. If you left it in your bag in Reshut HaRabim, yes. Your bag is your Reshut HaYachid.
There should be a case where the second ganav pay kefel if he stole the first ganav in the house of the man. There is two
I guess so, yes. No, still not. Because it's not in his Reshut. No, but you're saying it's in his Reshut. Okay, if it's in his house and in his Reshut, yeah, I guess so. Yeah. So says the Gemara, Umay chazita zilbatar hayistama. So why are you going after the stama of Rabbi Yochanan? Why don't you do the stama like the tznuim? So he says, Mishum demseya lekrab, as the pasuk says, ve'ish ki agdish et beto kodesh laHashem. Ma beto birshuto, af kol birshuto. Just like he comes and he says that it's going to be in his possession, so too it's talking about it, it's going to be in his possession. Okay? So Amar Abaye says, Ilav de Amar Rabbi Yochanan, if it wasn't for the fact that Rabbi Yochanan says tznuim, Rabbi Dosa Amru Dovar Echad, and that it wasn't for the fact that Rabbi Yochanan said that tznuim Rabbi Dosa said the same thing, I would have had a Havamina, Ilid Rabbi Dosa, that he holds Rabbi Dosa, and Rabbi Dosa does not hold of the tznuim. Meaning, if Rabbi Yochanan didn't tell us that the tznuim and Rabbi Dosa is the same, so I would have thought to say that he holds of, that means that tznuim hold Rabbi Dosa, but Rabbi Dosa does not hold of the tznuim. That's what I would have thought. Why? Let's explain. Hatznuim itleu de Rabbi Dosa, the tznuim hold like Rabbi Dosa, uma ganav avdura banan takanta, just like by the ganav. The rabbis did a special takana that what? Even for a ganav, they went and they said that in order that they should be able to come and save the ganav from an isur, so aniim, tzechim lemor, so kal v'chomer for an aniim. Meaning, if you're going to try to save the ganav, kal v'chomer, you have to save the ani. Rabbi Dosa let le ditznuim, but Rabbi Dosa does not hold that. Aniim, only the aniim did the rabbis make a takana. But for a ganav, they're not going to make a takana for a ganav. Imagine right now you're going to have to make a takana for thieves. What? You know, it sounds very funny. You have to make a takana for thieves? So Amar Rava comes and he says also, Ilav de Amar Rabbi Yochanan, for Rabbi Yochanan didn't say that the tznuim and Rabbi Dosa were the same thing. Hava mina, I would have also thought, Mantana tznuim, who is the tznuim? Rabbi Mirhi. Yeah? תיקח את זה, כמו שהוא עושה לך אתמול. Yeah? He says Rabbi Mirhi. He comes and he says, Lav Amar Rabbi Meir, Maaser Mamon Gavo. Didn't Rabbi Meir hold that it's Maaser is Mamon Gavo? Yeah? ואפילו אחין still, לעניין פדייה, to do with פדייה, ukme rachmana birshuteh. The Torah is coming and putting it in his reshut. תכתיב, as it says in the pasuk, ואם גאול יגאל איש ממעשרו חמישתו יוסף אליו, קריה רחמנה מעשרו, ומוסיף חומש. He's saying the Torah is adding on מעשרו, and you have to add a chomesh, 20%. כרם רבי נמי, גמר קודש קודש במעשר, כתיב אחת צוותן קודש עילולים להשם, and it's written במעשר, וכל מעשר הזה הארץ, זרע הארץ, מפרי העץ, להשם הוא קודש. Just like the kodesh that is written by the maaser, it's mamon gavua, and to do with pidyon, it's still yours. So to this kodesh, to do with kerem and vai, even though it's mamon dideh, it's your own money, to do with being to do with redeeming it, it's birshuteh, it's his reshut. And therefore, even in a case where the perot revai were stolen, right, you could still come and you could redeem it. Meaning we're trying to bring a proof that technically speaking, even though it's not in your reshut anymore, you're allowed to redeem kerem revai, neta revai.
So that's, but from the beginning when we said that.
Yes, from the beginning we said that you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it because it's not in your reshut. Now we're trying.
The owner.
Yes, now we're saying no. Even if it's not in your reshut, you could do it. That's what we're trying to do. Because even if when it is in your reshut, it's not yours. You're allowed to redeem it. So too, so too you can do the same thing. But what about leket? Remember, leket is when you're walking and it dropped some of the things, right? So therefore, when the anim, let's say they took a little bit too much. So there was a difference between leket and shicha, obviously, right? The shicha was when you actually forgot it, and the leket, yes, we learned. Yeah? So there's two things. There's leket and shicha. But with the leket and shicha, it came in the mamon dideh. Since it's your money, kiita b'shuteu, it's yours. You can make it hefker. So when it's not in your shoot, you can't make it hefker. So therefore, he's saying not like a bidosa, which means that we wanted to say that there is a special learning that to do with the neta revai, the kerem revai, you're allowed to be mechalel et zeh, even though it's not in your reshut. But the leket and the shicha, that it's only when it's in your reshut that you're allowed to do that. Because when it's not in your reshut, it's not yours. So therefore, you can't be mafkir et zeh. If it's not in your possession, you can't be mafkir something that's not yours. So Amar Ravina, another hara. If it wasn't for the fact that Rabbi Yochanan says that Tznuim and Rabbi Dosa said the same thing, I would have had a havamina. Who is the Tznuim? Rabbi Dosa himself. Meaning, it's not that Rabbi Dosa and the Tznuim said the same thing. It's the same person. Meaning that Tznuim was Rabbi Dosa, not that Tznuim was, the previous one was the Tznuim was Rabbi Meir. Right? Now we're saying it's Rabbi Dosa. Havamina, I would have had a havamina. Man tana Tznuim. Who's the tan of the Tznuim? Rabbi Dosai. Ki echedol tikshi, so you don't ask the Stam Mishnah according to Rabbi Yochanan. And Rabbi Yochanan, his Stam Yechida lo amar. He's never going to pass like a Stam Yechida. So in order to do that, that's what I would have a hamina. That's why you're saying that if it wasn't for the fact that he said that, I would have said that Rabbi Dosa and Tznuim is the same person. Okay?